Was there ever any talk of bringing back Evan Bourne to WWE?
When the Cruiserweight tournament was originally happening, I talked to them about that. But at the time, I was also talking to New Japan, and I just chose, New Japan over WWE. It's kind of an easy choice for me at the time.
Hi guys, Louis Dangoor here from WrestleTalk.com, and I'm joined by a very special guest who many of us would have seen fairly recently at All Out, and who we will be seeing going forward in the Ring of Honor Pure Championship Tournament. We've got Matt Sydal. Matt, how are you doing?
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm good, thanks.
No worries. How have you found the last couple of months with the craziness that's been going on in the world?
Well, I live in Florida in the United States, so it is a rough scenario here. Luckily, my family's been safe. I've got some family and homes and stuff. So it's been a worrisome weeks. And I've been out of work since March 17th. I was going to do the Ring of Honor past versus present in Las Vegas. And just before I was about to get on my flight to Vegas, I got a message from Ring of Honor saying, if you're not on the plane, stay home. So it was really nice that they cared so much about our safety. And luckily, and not only that, Ring of Honor paid me as if that event happened. Oh, so I have to tell you that this pandemic started off for me extremely lucky. If I hadn't gotten that payday that I had counted on to pay my bills, I would have went into the whole thing at a negative, and then I had no work for April, May, June, July, August, and then right as we got into August, I was able to get this Ring of Honor Pure Title tournament. A show in Dallas, and then most recently the All Out event for AEW. So it was very scary for us for a while because you don't know as a pro wrestler, if there's no live events, you don't know exactly how you're going to pay your bills. And I wasn't exactly selling a lot of t-shirts, and I really wasn't trying to ask the fans for anything during this time either, because I know it's been hard on everyone. So I'm really hoping things kick back into action and everybody stays safe and stays healthy. And hopefully we can get on the backside of this pandemic in the next, year or two. But I really do believe that, with the right amount of social distancing and effort, wrestling can make a steady comeback in front of fans and on TV, and slowly work our way back to where we were with all these sold out houses all over the world again.
And I mean, AEW, I think, obviously you're All Out. They had the fans there, very social distance, very minimal crowd, but you can tell it does make a difference. Does it make a difference to you guys as well, hearing them? And do you think it would have been a completely different event had there not been fans there?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just like particle physics. If there's no one there to witness it, I'm definitely citing a very high-end physics experiment, but basically without an observer, the wave is always changed. So when you have an observer, it actually creates the state anyway. But basically, yes, the fans are the most important part of wrestling. The event is co-created between fans and wrestlers. It's a symbiotic relationship. So I've been counting on fans for the last 20 years. And even when I was running wrestling shows in my backyard, we had fans there. Because we knew that is an essential element to pro wrestling. However, the show will always go on because we know there's people on the other end of the camera and we can play to them, but there's something special about the energy and the atmosphere that the fans create, which then inspires and sort of helps the wrestlers find that next level of adrenaline or that next level of perseverance that we need to push through. So if I do lose the Pure Tournament, it's because there were no fans there to help me push through.
We'll blame it on the fans. We will blame it on the fans. But so the Pure Tournament sounds quite exciting. I mean, the list of names, you've got obviously yourself in there, Jonathan Gresham, Jay Lethal, and then some newer names who we might be less familiar with. Let's talk about how that sort of your appearance in the tournament came to be, and how you're feeling going into it.
Yeah, well, I think I'm one of the few wrestlers that was in Ring of Honor during the Pure Title's original run. I think that's a really important consistency to carry on from the past to the future. I was there backstage. I learned from guys like Nigel McGuinness and Doug Williams. I was under the tutelage of Christopher Daniels and AJ Styles, all these amazing Pure champions. I've always looked up to them my whole life. And so I really feel like I'm the kind of person who should carry that legacy into the future. But then you have guys like Dave Finlay. Well, he certainly has a claim to that, considering all his dad's done and all that he has done in New Japan. There's guys like Rocky Romero. There's a guy like PJ Black, who's kind of been on the same trajectory as me, just a hungry, independent wrestler, fighting and scraping to get by. And I think he'll make a big impact in this tournament. He's got all the skills necessary to be a pure wrestling champion. All these guys in this tournament really do approach wrestling from this pure place, from like almost a sacred place. Like, that's why I like wrestling on Sundays, because it's church to me. It is a divine religious experience every time you get in the ring, especially when there's fans there, because we are creating that kind of magical atmosphere. But there's something special about that Ring of Honor ring that really just forces a wrestler to channel their deepest courage and their deepest, for me, I have to get into like a real Zen state of mind, so I'm not reacting too much in those matches. And that Ring of Honor ring is really conducive to that for me. It's a really wild tournament with guys like, I'm trying to think of who I haven't mentioned, but so I'll mention two guys on the opposite ends of Ring of Honor. Kenny King, who's been there for a really long time, and he's an ace. He can become pure champion. And then a guy like Russ Taylor, who a lot of wrestlers, he's considered an up-and-comer. Not a lot of people are as familiar with him, but his technical skills are going to be on display in this pure tournament. I think Ring of Honor fans are basically going to have, there's 8 matches to start with, then 4. I don't know however many total matches there are, but each matchup is going to be unique and interesting and have its own complexities to it.
You mentioned the Ring of Honor, you having been there before. If I'm not wrong, this is will be your first Ring of Honor run and set of matches since 2017, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, since 2017. I mean, I was there from 2004 to 2007, and then 2014 to 2017, I believe. And then I went to Impact for 2018, and then 2019 I was just independent. So at 2019 I had a knee injury, so I was an independent wrestler with no contract anywhere, out for 9 months because of a knee surgery. I kind of went back and worked mainly at Rev Pro after that in the UK, and and other independent organizations all over. And here we are in 2020, post-pandemic. I've wrestled for both Ring of Honor and AEW, so I really do feel like all my hard work's been paying off. It's really hard to sit on the sidelines, but you have to know when it's time to train and when it's time to go out there and perform. And so for me, I had to spend a lot of time back training so that I could be prepared for an opportunity like the Ring of Honor Pure Title tournament.
Well, I was going to say, obviously, having been in Ring of Honor, what is so special about being inside a Ring of Honor ring? Is it the lineage of guys that have been in that company? I mean, you mentioned it earlier, some of the people like Christopher Daniels, AJ Styles, Doug Williams, Nigel McGuinness. When you are inside a Ring of Honor ring, do you carry that with you, thinking about the whole host of names that have wrestled for the promotion? Because, I mean, you look at even the AEW card, the All Out that you wrestled on, a lot of people on that card have had stints in Ring of Honor, sometimes very long stints where they've been really part of the fabric. And you look at WWE shows, it's very much the same thing. So do you carry that with you whenever you wrestle for Ring of Honor?
Yeah, I think Ring of Honor has always been the lifeblood of the industry, sort of the heart that pumps the blood to all the other organs. It really has done a great job of creating stars and finding stars when they're young and helping foster their growth, which is what happened with me. I was discovered when I was, hardly beyond a backyard wrestler, and I was put under the tutelage of so many great wrestlers, got to wrestle Cesaro and Chris Hero, and just it is a wrestler's locker room. I mean, it's a place where you go to talk shop, to trade tricks, to learn something new, to share a match that maybe somebody that we were just all these wrestlers with common passions. And when you are somebody like me who's witnessed these matches live, who's seen CM Punk and Samoa Joe go 60 minutes, who was there live for Joe versus Kobashi, that these are the matches you want to not only want to live up to, but you know how loud the crowd can get, and you know how intense a wrestling match can get, and you're trying to find that level and then transcend it, find that level and go beyond it. That's, you know, that's the Ring of Honor mentality, is top this. You walk into the back and you look at the other guys and you say, top that. And that's always been the attitude at Ring of Honor, and that's what pushes us to get better and better and better. And so when I step in the ring, I mean, I really feel like Ring of Honor is just a huge part of my entire career. All the breaks that I've gotten in wrestling came from matches that I had in Ring of Honor. Like me and AJ Styles wrestled Dragon Kid and Genki Horiguchi. And then a few months later, I'm wrestling for Dragon Gate in Japan. A few months after that, I'm the Open the Brave Gate champ, first ever American Open the Brave Gate champion in Dragon Gate. So Ring of Honor has been a catalyst to everything in my career. That's why it only makes sense that I was to come back for this Pure Tournament. I get a chance in the first round to face a nemesis of over nearly 20 years, probably closer to 18, in Delirious. And then I'll get a chance, you know, hopefully I'll just mop the floor with him and move on to the next round. And there's guys like Jonathan Gresham, Wheeler Yuta, Fred Yehi that I haven't wrestled yet that I would love to have matches with. So yeah, that's what Ring of Honor does. It takes the best wrestlers, puts them in a play, and puts them in somewhere, shakes it up, and then rolls the dice, and whatever, you know, whoever comes out on top.
I mean, we're really looking forward to it. And for people that might not be familiar with Ring of Honor or sort of what the Pure Championship Tournament stands for, and for people that might just watch the mainstream products, what is Ring of Honor and the Pure Championship Tournament all about? And in that vein, what's Matt Sydal all about for people that might not be 100% familiar with, I guess, your work, who might just watch the WWE and AEW products?
Yes, well, you know, I don't know where to begin, but I can just tell you simply with Ring of Honor and the Pure rules, what I can tell you things you're not going to get. There is no outside interference. There are no weapons. There is no chicanery, I guess you can say. The matches have hard time limits. I believe first round was maybe 15 minutes, second round 20. And at the end, if a match goes to a time limit draw, there will be 3 judges ringside that will essentially score the bout for one fighter or the other. You know, I'm not exactly sure if it's a point system or if it's just straight up, you know, up or down, X or O.
Yeah.
But, you know, Matt Sydal is the kind of wrestler who is willing to take a risk to not let the match go to the judge's decision. I watch too much UFC and I've seen too many terrible decisions to possibly think that could happen to me. I'd hate to lose an opportunity like this to a judge's decision. So I would rather just take a chance. And if I fall, then I get beat. But if I succeed, then I'm moving on to the next round. In fact, there's no need to waste any time. I'm just going for the win right away. A lot of people think wrestling's about these elaborate storylines, but the truth is the true stories are what unfolds between the ropes. So as soon as I step into the ring, the story begins. And when the match ends, that's the end of that chapter. And we'll keep going to the next chapter, to the next, all the way to the finals.
And I mean, I think as you mentioned, the no interference, no sort of shenanigans going on is something that's quite rare in wrestling nowadays. So should be good for fans to check out. I guess we alluded to it earlier with your AEW debut. I want to briefly touch upon that. Firstly, you're all right following that, I guess, scary fall. I think people were mainly talking about Matt Hardy at that show. So not a lot of people were saying, damn, is Matt Sydal okay? Because that could have ended badly. But you seem to be sort of okay, carried on with the match.
Yeah, I mean, there's different levels to accidents. If the ring is very unforgiving, but compared to cement, it's extraordinarily forgiving. Yeah. I mean, if I had my fall to the outside or to not inside the ring, it would have been, you know, people would be wondering if I was getting up from that. Yeah, my heart really goes out to Matt Hardy. He's I was going to say he's an ultimate warrior. That's such a bad turn of phrase in wrestling, but he truly is. He's a special kind of warrior. He is one of the guys that when I got to WWE, he led by example in how you treat other wrestlers and how you treat, you know, the guys in the back. And he's always been somebody who's pushed the envelope of wrestling further and further and further. He's an icon. He really scared all of us. I mean, once my match was over, I wasn't concerned about myself so much as I was concerned about how he was doing, because these injuries like that are very, very serious. But you could just see in Matt Hardy, he just has no quit in him. He has so much heart. He pushed through, probably, against what most people would think would be normal, but wrestlers aren't normal. We just keep going. I mean, we want to finish the match. We never want to quit. If Matt Hardy had quit in him, he wouldn't be in AEW right now. It's not a program in his head. Quitting is not an option, because wrestling is his passion. It's his love. It's you can't pull the wrestling away from wrestlers. Yeah. There's a lot of people that play wrestler, and then there's those of us that are wrestlers. You don't know exactly when you switch from playing to being one, but once you become a wrestler, it never leaves you. And I mean, that's why there's so many guys like at AEW, like Chris Jericho. On the backside, guys like Dean Malenko and Arn Anderson are there. There's so many great people there. But yeah, so I'm fine. I'm getting some new wrestling shoes ASAP. Ordered them right away. I said, I need a new pair of shoes for this, because that was risky. Yeah, it's just for me. I'm always looking on the positive side of an event like this. One, I'm healthy and happy, and was able to just drive home at night, and that's just so fortunate to have that after an accident that really could have. I've had neck injury. I had to take a lot of 2019 off for my knee, but also because my neck was injured. Had I landed on my neck again at AEW, had that fall gone a little bit more wrong, you would never see me wrestle again. There wouldn't be a chance for me to. I wouldn't be able to. So every day I'm just thankful that I got another match in me. Yeah, it's really scary to think about. So I got a little PTSD, but I'll be okay. It's just it's a pay-per-view, so you do the best stuff you have. That's what we do on pay-per-views. You break out your best, most dangerous stunts, and you every night we stand up on that top rope, we face death, and we like to obfuscate the risks and kind of pretend it's not as dangerous as it is, but it truly is a death-defying stunt every time any wrestler climbs up to that top rope and jumps.
And a lot has been spoken about the humidity of that that all-out taping, and just how humid it was. Do you reckon that sort of had an impact on the foot? I know commentary was saying that the ropes are perhaps a bit slippery. Was that them, I guess, covering, or were the ropes genuinely very sort of slippery and wet with all the humidity?
I mean, it is what it is. I wouldn't have jumped if I didn't think I could do it. Yeah. But I'll tell you what really happened. When I was up there, the moment I went to jump, a massive firework exploded just off to like my left side. There were for some reason, just next door was a fireworks show. And so if you don't expect expect a massive gunshot to go off, a bomb exploding next to you. So I really think that was like let's say I can overcome 2 or 3 things wrong. Let's say my foot hurts, the rope's slippery. I'm still going to hit that shooting star press. But if all that, plus it's a new ring I've never done a shooting star press in, and then a firework explodes in my ear at the moment I'm jumping, that's just the mess we got into. But that's with wrestling, you just have to roll with the punches, and I just laid down till I could stand back up. And as soon as I stood back up, I went, I had that Matt Hardy warrior in my heart just unleashed, and I just went bonkers on everybody, because I wasn't sure what happened to me, but I knew that I fell in the ring, not out of it, which meant I'm still in the Battle Royal, which means I still have a chance to become AEW champion, get a match against Mox, which is something that I would really, really like to have. Lo and behold, Lance Archer is Gigantosaurus, and Luchasaurus, but he's actually bigger than Luchasaurus. And you got to understand how gigantic these guys are that I'm wrestling. And yeah, he just had a little bit of leverage advantage on us, and he was able to get the win. But that was just my first opportunity in AEW. Hopefully I will come across a few more coming up on Dynamite sooner than later, and really get a chance to make an impact.
Well, I was actually going to say, on that note, what's the score with AEW? Was it a one-off, or is there the door open for future opportunities later down the line?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was just the first of that was just the beginning. I'm an independent wrestler, so there's some beauty in being independent and freelance, where you can wrestle anywhere against anyone. And for me, I love finding the best opponents. So having this freedom of wrestling for Ring of Honor and AEW has really allowed me the chance to get in the ring with some of the world's best. Since the pandemic's kind of slowed down and we're back in business, I really look forward to working more with AEW. And during the entire pandemic, I was thinking about how I can make an impact at Ring of Honor, because I knew coming off this Pure Tournament, I'd have a lot of momentum going. So I wanted to carry that forward into whatever Ring of Honor does next. I'm not sure when their next tapings are going to be or how they're proceeding, because I know they are in a state, Maryland, that has a much tighter protocol for coronavirus than Jacksonville, than Florida does. Even though AEW does a great job, they do blood tests every day before the event. It just really, this coronavirus pandemic has caused a lot of issues, but it really, for me, I've been able to seize a lot of opportunities out of it. So I'm really thankful for that, and thankful to be healthy. I mean, man, sign me up for this Pure Tournament's going to be fun to watch, because I only got to be involved with the matches I was directly involved with. All the other matches happened under no eyes. Nobody's seen them. Nobody heard it. Nobody said anything. No spoilers. So it's all going to unfold. It unfolds for us all together. And it begins this weekend on Ring of Honor TV.
And I was just about to say, in terms of that, are you going to be watching the tournament, finding out, or when you're, I guess, not wrestling, do you kind of like to stay away from wrestling? I know you get sometimes two groups of wrestlers. You get the ones that when they're not wrestling, all they want to do is watch wrestling. And then you get the other group who just say, when I'm not wrestling, I want to do anything but think about watch wrestling. So what category do you fall in?
Well, for me, I don't really like watching things on TV. I've most of the wrestling I watch in my life, I watch it live, because I'm on shows with the best wrestlers on earth. So I just peek my head through the curtain and I watch it like that. So with this Ring of Honor Pure Title Tournament, I will actually have to watch it on TV, because there's no way to watch it through the curtain. It's not an option for me. I have a wrestling school called the Psy Dojo, SYDOJO.com, here in Pinellas Park, Florida. And so myself and my students will be watching it to study this, the Pure Tournament, because you never know when you're entered into a tournament like this, or if you get a match at Ring of Honor and you're in the Pure division, you're going to have to adapt and modify. So I want to kind of share the Pure Tournament with my wrestling students. So when I watch it, it'll be sort of from that perspective of trying to get them to see wrestling that they haven't seen. The reason I wrestle differently than everybody else is because I watch different wrestling than everybody else. I don't follow the headlines. I don't follow the main storylines of wrestling. It's just not for me. I like obscure wrestling. I like wrestling that from essentially when I wrestled in Dragon Gate, a lot of the Dragon Gate wrestling and a lot of Japanese wrestling. So my influences are different than a lot of other guys, which is the reason I wrestle different than everybody else.
Mm-hmm. And I guess on that note, any recommendations for people that might want to not just see the mainstream stuff? Is there any particular match that you think would be good to show people that's perhaps a bit obscure from a Dragon Gate or a Japanese promotion of that ilk?
Just everybody's different. What speaks to me might not speak to them. So it's just a matter of following that rabbit hole deeper. But I will say that YouTube is a truly limited source. There's so much hidden Ring of Honor, incredible wrestling that's pushed away on a DVD somewhere, that if you were to just to dig up some old Ring of Honor DVDs from 2006, 2007, 2008, maybe some old Pro Wrestling Noah from that era, I'd highly recommend that. Some Ricky Marvin, some Kenta, some Marufuji. If you guys don't know Will Ospreay, you got to check him out. There's just so many good wrestlers. Even in this tournament, guys like Fred Yehai, Russ Taylor are going to be standouts. Dave Finlay, Rocky Romero, and of course my guy PJ Black is going to be killing it in the tournament as well. I think he's got a great shot at winning everything. So yeah, I mean, it's just whatever piques your interest, follow that. If you like death matches, go deeper with that. It's, you know, wrestling's, there's not one radio station to listen to. There's no top. I mean, the top 40 hits, you can listen to that if you want, but you're just going to see the same spear a million times, the same whatever. It's all the same malarkey. It's not. It doesn't really do it for me. I like watching people. I love watching Lucha Libre. I love watching AAA. You know, just find the songs that move you and keep listening to those tunes. You know, everybody's there's no right or wrong. Everybody's opinion's valid, and it's just like, you like folk music, I like hip hop, or clearly neither of those are true, but you know what I mean. Just because you don't like the same wrestling that's popular, or the wrestling that's on TV, or the wrestling that Jim Cornette says is good, that doesn't mean what you like is wrong. It just means you enjoy a different tune. They're not that, and that's why I'm not into comparing wrestling. I'm just into enjoying the different kinds of wrestling for what they are.
Awesome. And I was doing some research actually ahead of our interview, and I didn't realize you did some. You worked at the NXT house show once that moved from FCW, once you recovered from your, I believe it was a motorcycle accident, and then just prior to your release. Were there any other plans to bring you into NXT down at Full Sail prior to your release?
Yeah, I mean, I did. I was training up there. I just didn't have. Oh, sorry, I'm on 10% battery, so just
That's
fairly warning you.
Yeah.
I don't know how long you had for the interview, but yeah, I mean, would have been a part of NXT and then back onto the main roster, but I just had that foot injury that there was no way I could. I was in horrible pain, so even when I was training, even when I had that one match, it was just, I was still not ready to go back and be a ninja on TV. So, you know, it's sort of a long run road to recovery. And even after I got released, it took me a while before I got my foot back underneath me. And then it's constant. It's a constant daily battle of training my foot and recovery, and kind of, it's a tough cycle, because you need your feet to wrestle, and I need my feet to kick people really hard. And then sometimes I hurt my own foot kicking people. So it's a sacrifice I'm willing to make. And
I mean, NXT seems like the sort of brand that you would have been, I guess, more your style of wrestling, more the independent style, the fast-paced wrestling that we don't tend to see on the main roster. Is that something that you sort of wish was around when you were with WWE, and sort of the prominence of NXT?
Yeah, well, I mean, you kind of fell into a little fallacy there of thinking that the wrestling is a style. The only thing that makes it is the two guys in the ring. So, you know, one of my goals in life was to wrestle Claudio Cesaro on Monday Night Raw, because we would have tore it up, because he's one of the greatest wrestlers ever. And when I got to Monday Night Raw, I just didn't have guys like him to wrestle. But luckily, I had guys like Rey Mysterio and John Morrison to have a few matches with, to put on, to display what I had to offer. You know, me and Kofi had a good run together. So, you know, I mean, it would have been great if the entire roster that's of NXT was there now, but you know, somebody had to be one of the first. You know, somebody had to kind of push through and kind of show management that this is what the fans want, and then they hire more guys. Like, you know, then you have guys like Ricochet being United States champion, Uhaa Nation, or Uhaa being U.S. champion. So I really think that perhaps I was a part of a beginning of the wave of changing the stereotype of what a wrestler is and what a wrestler looks like on TV.
I mean, I'll tell you, I was 10 at the time, but that shooting star press into the RKO, you had me. I remember watching it, because obviously over here in the UK, we watch it the following day. I remember watching it before school one day, and my mouth literally hit the floor. I was like, what have I just seen? Let's talk a little bit about that. How did that come to be? Was there any ever worry? You thinking, are we going to be able to pull this off? Was it your idea? Was it Randy's?
Yeah, well, actually, the original idea, I think, is M-Dog 20s. I saw him and B-Boy do it once, and maybe I did it with Alex Shelley at a PWG Battle of Los Angeles. But yeah, I wasn't too worried about it. Randy's pretty good at hitting that cutter, and I'm pretty good at hitting the shooting star press. So, you know, it was just, the worst part is just the landing. Unfortunately, I had to eat it. It's a very devastating fall. I mean, it's just a huge belly flop. I mean, doing that into a pool would hurt, let alone onto a canvas. So, but that's the moment I look for in a wrestling match. I'm always looking for that moment where the fans are on the edge of their seat, and then you can get them to jump out of it. So we gotta lead them up to the edge of their seat, and then bang, give them that what they didn't expect. That's what I go for every night when I put on a show. Every night when I get in the ring, I'm trying to get people to the edge of their seat and then have them jump out of it at the end. And so yeah, Randy and I nailed it that night. And I also have to give credit to the WWE cameramen and directors who did such a beautiful job of shooting that scene. I mean, I call it a scene, you know what I mean? Like they really nailed it. They did such a good job of selling, and then everything the commentary did. It wasn't just me and Randy. Obviously, we were the most important part of that. Yeah. But really, it's this massive group effort of the entire WWE master machine to create that moment. And so, yeah, I mean, I love that people still bite on it and still love it and still can, they still have a little bit of that airborne flavor. They can't forget.
I was going to say, was there ever any talk of bringing back Evan Bourne to WWE?
When the Cruiserweight tournament was originally happening, I talked to them about that. But at the time, I was also talking to New Japan, and I just chose, New Japan over WWE. It's kind of an easy choice for me at the time.
Yeah, it does make sense. But I'm conscious about your 10%, so I'm going to let you head off. But Matt, thank you so much for your time. You've been so generous. Ring of Honor Pure Title Tournament kicks off this weekend. Matt Sydal will be in action. Will be, I presume, tweeting your thoughts?
Sure. I don't tweet much, but, you can always go to prowrestlingtees.com/Matt Sydal, buy a T-shirt, support sydojo.com, sydojo.com. If you're a wrestler looking to get into the business, or you want to buy like an 8x10 or something of me, that would be great to have that extra support. Thank you for the interview. I really enjoyed chatting with you. Peace, love, and pro wrestling.
Thank you so much, Matt, and stay safe.